limbs and face to make sure it's baked. So just dip one of these into water. You just want it damp, not necessarily wet. I bake in 2 sets, so head and arms together, and then legs, otherwise they don't really fit in my oven. So you only need to do 1 piece out of each bake. And then I'm going to do it on the head, because if I rub some off, it's not really going to matter. Just rub it. It's absolutely no change, and nothing on my brush. And then I'll do a foot at the other end. It's already wet. Nothing. So that's completely baked. So now we're going to do the eyebrows. There's many different ways you can do it. You can do it with the heat set paint, or you can use air dry paint, or you can use Prismacolor pencils. So this is Prismacolor pencil. It's called Chocolate. If you use the Prismacolor pencils, you then have to use heat set matte varnish to keep it on there. Otherwise you can wash it off later. The best part of using these pencils is it's easier to wash off. So using air dry paint, it dries quite quickly and is then permanent once it dries. If you're using heat set paint, it won't dry until you bake it. So again, you can wash that off. So on this baby, you can see the eyebrows are kind of this shape, like that. So I'm going to very lightly, without wetting my pencil, just draw along the brow bone. If your kit just has rounded brow bones, an easy way to keep your shape and make it the same for both eyes is by using the side of a teaspoon. So hold it so that the spoon is like that against your eyebrow and go around it and then flip it over and do the other side. So then you have even eyebrows. But he has defined eyebrow bones. So I can just carefully go over them with my pencil, just like that. Just make sure they're even. Don't know if you can see it, but I've made a little mistake there. It's come away. So what I'm going to do is get that tippy thing, which has a little bit of water in it. I'll wet it a little bit more. And then I'm going to just gently wipe it off. Kind of like using an eraser. And it's gone. And we dry that without getting paint off my piece of paper. You can wet your brush to do this. So you want it extremely pointy. Just dip it in the water a little bit. Blot it out on paper towel or on a sponge. And then we're going to start here. So do little lines going up like that. And then you want your hair lines going in towards that original line. Make sure your pencil is super sharp the entire time. If it's wet, it goes on easier. Follow the pattern of your brow bone and then go from above the line, pointing down towards those lines you just did. I'll add a photo of what I've done. So you can maybe see it a bit better than in the video. So that's not a finished eyebrow. We're going to use other colours as well. And we're going to edit it just a little bit. What I'm going to do now is find preferably a clean sponge. I have a very small bit here. I'm just going to gently blot at any lumps because my pencil was wet. You have part of one eyebrow. So I'm going to go do the other eyebrow and then I'll come back to show you how we're going to make it so it's not just one colour. So he's got one tone eyebrows at the moment. I've then gotten a slightly different brown, which this is Burnt Umber. This one's a Derwent Academy watercolor. It will still work the same. So I'm going to dampen the tip, blot it off, and just go over what I've already done. Nice and fine. You don't want to do too many lines. And then we're going to get another colour, which is the Sandbar Brown, which is a lighter colour. Let's go over it again. It's going to give us a lighter effect. Or we're going to break my tip. Wet it again. It'll give us a bit of a lighter effect on it. Having technical issues with my pencil. Try again. There we go. The eyebrows don't have to be as dark as this. It depends what colour hair you're going to be doing. So again, I'll take a photo so that you can get a more close-up view. Refer to actual baby photos on Google, like we have been, to see what sort of brows you want on your baby. But again, it depends on what colour hair you're doing. So if you're doing painted hair, you want to use the same colours as what you're doing for the eyebrows. If you're rooting the hair, which we will be doing, I tend to have my eyebrows slightly lighter than the hair I'm going to be using. So blonde hair, you're going to need paler eyebrows. I'll go into the other eyebrow and then we'll come back. In the last video, we did the eyebrows. So now we're going to seal them on with the Genesis Heat Set Matte Varnish. I use it straight from the gel. If you apply it too thickly, it'll leave a sandpaper texture. So you've got to make sure you thin it out and don't put too much on your sponge. You need a clean sponge. You don't want it really on the lips or the nails. If it gets on the nails, that's fine. We can fix that later with when we put the gloss on. But you really don't want it on his lips. After this, your doll's almost complete. We just need to add the nail tips and the gloss. So I'll show you how to start the varnish. So I'm just going to put my sponge in the gel, just wipe it onto the sponge. I don't have much on here. Get my head, which is on something else today because my makeshift drying rack kept falling over. So as usual, I'm starting on the top of the head, and you want to just pounce it until it's really in there. You can go over the one area with the sponge at a time, quite a bit. If you want your baby to have a bit of a rough texture, you can do it a little thicker. Keep in mind, if you do it too thick, your baby could go chalky. So you've got to make sure you really thin it out. When baking this, I tend to, if safe to do so, and if your temperature's at the right oven, I'll leave it in for an extra minute. Or if I'm a bit worried about leaving it in extra, I'll rebake it. So I'll turn the oven off, let everything cool down, and then rebake. And I might do that, say, 2 or 3 times. All depends on kind of what I'm up to. I wasn't going to be doing any filming today. I'm not real well. But I thought, if we get this bit done, the rest is all done with air dry stuff. And doesn't take as long. just get it done. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I know there's a few people following the videos of making a doll as I upload, so I kind of didn't want to let you guys down. Make sure you get in behind the ears and in all the creases on the face without leaving globs of it. I don't worry too much about getting in all the grooves on the inside of the ear because I'm going to be putting air dry gloss on that anyway. This isn't something that you must do for your Reborn. It's recommended. But if your paint is sealed properly, you don't have to actually do this. If you've used the pencils for your eyebrows like I have, you will definitely need to do it. And that's because the pencils, you can bake your baby, it's not going to have any effect on the eyebrows. The only way to seal them on is by using a matte varnish. You can use a different type of matte varnish if you want to. There are air dry matte varnishes you can use. It is completely up to you. I wouldn't personally like to use an air dry matte varnish. I just don't have that option at the moment. If you're able to get different angles of light onto your baby's head, that will help you see where you have missed and where there may be a chunk of the varnish. Pretty sure I've actually missed a bit. Just the limited light in this house, it's really hard to figure out whether you've missed a bit or not. It's best when you're making a Reborn to do it in a really, really well lit room. I have at times done most of the process outside before. So a nice sunny day, go outside and yeah. Don't sit in the direct sun because, you know, sunburn, especially in Australia. But the last few days have been really, really overcast. Sorry, cramping my hand. This can take a little longer to apply than the paint. It's thicker and you really, really have to make sure you're doing it even and thinning it out. So he doesn't have any on his face, so it's okay for his face to lean on me. Just catching different lights. I'm just going to turn the lamp on for a second. Or not. I've unplugged the cord for it. Just pouncing until it's pretty much dry. Looking at it from different angles of light so you can see where you've gotten, where you've missed, where you've got chunks. You want to go all the way down to this little groove down here. You don't want to miss bits. If you're going to do it, you've got to do it all the way. I personally don't mind if my baby has a little bit of texture. Some people like it, some people don't. It's like most things with reborn babies, or I think pretty much everything. It's completely up to you. It's your personal preference. It's your baby. If you're making the baby for someone else, you need to find out what they're actually wanting. Some people don't like texture on their baby's skin, others like it. So definitely if you're making a baby for someone else, if you're making them to sell, you need to find that out. And it's definitely something, if you make your baby and then you decide to sell it, it's something I would normally list in my sales description. Just working on the last limb now. Been as careful as I can to not get it on the nails. Just keep an eye, make sure you've got all the big globs. pretty sure he's fully covered now. Just look at that in a different light. Oh, there's a glob. That's why it helps to look at it in different lights. Make sure there's no globs, because globs can go chalky. And you don't want a chalky baby. So when you're doing the head, I didn't film this for some reason. If you've used the pencils for the eyebrows, I'll do a couple of coats just on the eyebrows, purely because it's the only way to get them to stay on. If you don't well and truly seal them on, they will wash off. You don't want to go to all that hard work of getting them on there in the first place, just for them to come off. So I'm going to go bake him, and then all we have to do is nail tips and then glosses, and you have a almost completed baby. If you want a bald baby, then he's done. If you want a painted hair baby, you need to paint the hair before doing this heat set matte varnish. If you're rooting the hair, then we do that last. Hi everyone, so I just wanted to quickly show how to do the nail tips. So the nail tips, I use nail white in air dry paint. This particular brand is called Luminaire. There are better brands, although I'm sure some people love this one. I personally don't like it that much. I'm using it because it's what I have. And I don't like to waste things, so I just persevere with it. There are some really, really good air dry paints like Magical Realism. The way I do it, you can do it with a fine brush. I don't. I do it with a toothpick. So I get the smallest amount on the end of my toothpick. Just like that. And then I'll go over, if I move my paint pot, the edge of the nail. So I'll just quickly do that, and then I'll show you the nail. So that is how I do it. If I can get the right angle. Kind of see it. I'll also take photos of the fingernails once they're done so you can see them a little bit better. Then once that's dry, which it doesn't take long using this paint, you can then do the gloss. So it's been about 10 minutes since I did the nails. They're almost dry, so I will put up photos in between these two little bits so you can see better. I can't hold the camera and do it to show you, and I don't have anyone here that can do that for me. So the next thing we're going to do is the air dry gloss. We will be doing it on the nails in a minute. Just want to let it dry for another couple of minutes. So we're going to do the gloss on the face. So we'll be doing the lips, inside the nostrils, a little bit around the eyes. You don't have to do around the eyes. I do it because it gives that little moist kind of look. That is completely optional. And then I do a little thin layer inside the ears. Again, that is also optional. So just going to... Oh, one thing with the gloss. If you get any on the inside of the lid where the spiral thing is to do it up, it'll stick and it's really hard to open. So this is kind of take two because I couldn't get the jar open. So I've got a brush. This brush is a little big, but it's kind of all I've got at the moment. So we're going to use that. So I'll quickly do it. And then I can turn him around and show you. I usually do a couple of layers on the lips. So I'll do a layer, let it dry, do another layer, let it dry. You don't want to do super thick layers because it just doesn't work very well, and it just takes longer to set. Sometimes it doesn't set properly and you can have tacky feel on the lips. He is an open mouth kit, so I also need to do the inside, so you need to do that quite carefully. If after you've done your final bake, you've matted your baby, you're not happy with a little bit of colouring, or say the inside of the mouth doesn't have enough colouring, you'd prefer more, that's where having some air dry paints on hand can come in really, really super handy, because then you can go over it a little bit with the air dry paint. I'm not completely happy with the inside of his mouth, but I always manage to find something in a baby I've made that I'm not happy with. That's why I usually ask other people's opinions, and it's usually people I know who will give me a brutally honest opinion. With me, if I'm asking you your opinion, it's because I value your opinion and I want the truth. I don't want to say, hey, that looks great, and then go, oh, wow, that's really, really horrible. So I've done the lips. Oops, he's upside down. You can see the shine on them. It's only on the lips and the inside of the mouth. So now I'm going to do up the nostrils. So remember when we were painting him, put the paint on the end of, like, the tip of our brush, and very carefully just guided it to the back of the nostril. That's what we're doing, because we don't want it on the outside of the nostrils. You can do a couple of different layers for this as well, because you don't want a big clump in there. Unless you want him to look like he's got a runny nose, you don't want it anywhere but inside the nostril. So it's just up his nose. Probably can't see it. And then I'm going to do a thin layer again on this inside bit of the ear. So I'll quickly do it and then turn him around and show you what I've done. Just got to be really careful you don't get it on the wrong part. Doing the gloss on the inside of the ear is completely up to you. It is not necessary part of reborning. I know many master artists that don't do it. So like a lot of the reborn painting, it's totally up to you and what you're looking for, what the end result you want is. So that's the ear. So notice how I've only done this bit here. So I didn't go on this outside bit, how it curls in. I didn't go on that at all. So I'm going to do the other side. And hopefully his nails will be ready. Oh, with the matte varnish with Tanner, I made a few, there's a few little spots that I didn't blend very well. Kind of putting that down to, I'm not concentrating at the moment because I'm not feeling well. But it won't affect him. It's only visible in certain lights. And there's not really much you can do about it. So I wanted him to have a little bit of a texture. But there are, you can kind of see just here, a bit more texture and a couple of lines. There's little bits like that on him. It's not something you'll really notice. And some of the rough patches just look like dry baby skin and are only really noticeable under the lamp. I couldn't notice them before I turned the lamp on. So the next thing I'm going to do is around the eyes. So he doesn't have his eyes in yet, which is perfect. So I'm going right in along, the edge. So just where the opening of the eye is, not down into that wrinkle. Turn him around in a second. Show you. This is another example of just have a look at baby pictures. The pictures I put in for the eyebrows. There's one baby there that you can't even see his eyebrows. And that's really common. Sometimes you can't see the eyebrows. Sometimes they're super visible. Every baby's unique. Just like every human is unique, babies are humans. So you can kind of see that it's just on where the opening is. So just before you go into the eye socket, on both the top and the bottom. Do that on the other eye. I'm just keeping an eye on the battery level of my iPad because it's saying that I'm neglecting charging it, which is completely true. I do that a lot. The reason I decided to quickly do this tonight is so that I can edit it before I go to bed and then upload it during the night. Then you can all get your babies finished, up to the point where you're ready to do hair. Hair can take anywhere between, say, 8 hours of solid work up to weeks. It depends how thick you want the hair. Depends on what type of hair you're using, what type of, just what style you're going for. So many different factors that go into different things with doing reborns. So you can kind of see it's just right in there. It's not out too far. I'm going to sit him aside and hopefully he doesn't fall over. I'm going to test the nails and see if they're dry enough. The finger that doesn't have paint, preferably. So test each nail before you pick it up and start throwing gloss on it. So the best brush to use for this is actually a nail polish brush. So if you have an old thing of nail polish, take the brush out, put it in some boiling water and leave it until the water cools. So swish it around and blot it and like dab it through to mix in the boiling water. And then just let it sit. Once the water's cold, take it out. Put more boiled water in, like fresh lot, with a bit of dish soap. And then again, just keep pushing it in and dotting it around. Don't scrub it too hard, pushing down on the point, because you can ruin the brush. So when you're doing this, you are going to just go on the nail only. You don't want it anywhere other than the nail. So when we finished painting the nails, when you finished painting the nails earlier, you'd notice that they kind of look pretty much like the surrounding skin. But once you put the gloss on, it changes that a little bit and they don't look so much like surrounding skin. When you did the white nail tip line, keep a clean toothpick so you can scrape off little globs as you go. Also comes in handy for doing this. So he now has, sorry, it's a little awkward. He now has shiny nails. I will take photos. I'm going to do a foot and then I'm going to leave you because that's all you need to do for a bald baby. I'm not doing a tutorial on painted hair because I honestly have never actually done painted hair. And I won't even try to show someone how to do something that I've never done before or that I don't feel confident in doing. It is something I want to look into doing as well. I personally don't really like babies with painted hair. There are some artists that do such an amazing job on painted hair that unless you go and touch the baby, you don't even know it's painted, which is amazing. Tanner's toes didn't have a defined end to their toenail. You can probably see where I've done the white line. Just tap on the screen to get it to focus. There is no groove in there to say, where it ends. So that's all we're doing. That's your painting completely complete. You can keep adding gloss to the mouth and to anything you want super shiny. So the nails don't have to be super shiny. I'll probably do one more coat. Depends on how it is when it dries. The lips, I will definitely do one, maybe two more coats. Keep it thin. You can always add more. The same with any other part we have done. I will do another video on assembling your baby. But it'll be a bit of a wait because I'm going to root his hair, but I'm going to do that as a completely separate tutorial on rooting rather than adding it to this one. I will make a playlist to add those tutorial videos to these ones. The only other thing I have to do is put his eyes in. So I'll let the gloss dry, and if I'm still up, we'll do the eyes. So we're doing the eyes now. I have cut inside, bring his eye socket right up into his neckline. Be careful when you're doing it. Make sure your gloss is completely dry or you're going to mess it up. Use something super sharp like a hobby knife is the best thing, like a scalpel kind of thing. I'm going to cut, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little cut across there. I cut maybe a third of the way around, and then you should be able to get your eye in. Sometimes you need to cut a bit further, sometimes you don't. With some kits, the eyes are so wide open that you can just push it through the front. So his eye's in, it is not in the correct place. So I'm just going to use my thumb inside his head to manipulate it to where I want it to go. And there's his little eye. So I'll get the other one in, and once it's in, I'll come back. If you're rooting your baby's lashes, do it before you put the eyes in. It just makes it a little bit easier. You're not, as you're pushing the needle in, it's not going to hit the eye and you're not going to snap your needle accidentally, which is easy enough done without trying to dodge an eyeball. I will do a tutorial on how to root eyelashes. I'm not sure if he's going to have rooted eyelashes. When babies are born, they don't have eyelashes for a couple of days, a week. I'm not exactly sure, but I know they're not born with them. Right now, I like the way he is without them, but we'll play it by ear, and when I do the rooting tutorial, we'll go back to it then. So I'm going to put his other eye in and show you what he looks like. So I have both eyes in now. Such a cute little guy. You want to make sure your pupils, which is the black center part of your eye, are in the exact same spots, unless you're wanting your baby cross-eyed, which some people do. You can have your baby so they're not staring straight ahead. You can do it so that they're looking to the side, either side, so they're looking up, so they're looking down. Anything really you're wanting, it's totally up to you. It's your baby. With cutting the eye sockets, so you don't want to make the cut too big. It'll make it easier to get the eye in, but it makes it harder to place the eye. So when you're manipulating the eye, once it's in and if the cut's too big, it will fall out and it can be difficult. So I don't know if you can see the little holes in there. Where I've cut on one side, where I've cut the eye socket, that's a little bit big of a hole, but that's fine. I will glue that to help keep the eyes in place once they're exactly where I want them. And once I've decided whether I'm going to root the lashes or not. At this point, I'm loving him without eyelashes, but it's kind of it's something I can do later as well. Even once I've done his hair and put him together, if I then decide, no, I really want him to have eyelashes, I can take him apart and do it. It's not that big of a thing. I do have some fake lashes here, so I can also have a go with that and show you guys. But for now, you have a completely painted baby right up to the point where you can give them hair if you choose to, or you can put them together. I will do a tutorial on putting them together, just it could be a little while. I need to get my health sorted out first, which is why I'm trying to do everything I can tonight to get this last bit of this part of the tutorial finished, if I can spit my words out. So I hope you've enjoyed watching the series. I'll do a second series on rooting and how to do a rooting map and directional rooting. I recommend before you try rooting, just to get used to putting your needle through vinyl. You can even buy a spare limb and do it. It doesn't have to be a head, but try to get a hold of a spare head, seconds kit, anything. You don't have to paint it. Yeah, just to practice putting the needle in and out, working on angles and experiment a little. It's all about trial and error. You can be reborning for many years like I have, maybe 7 or 8 now. You're always learning, you always find new techniques. Sometimes you learn them from others and sometimes you come up with them on your own. Like a lot of the ones I've done, I've pretty much worked out on my own. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. There's going to be many more videos. Good night.